Executive Secretary. Please allow me, before I deliver the statement, let me express our deepest condolences on the passing of our dear brother, Mr. Diallo. His dedication and service will be remembered with due respect. May his soul rest in peace. Your Excellency, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, the Honorable Minister, my colleague, Mr. Communication and Digital Economy, Your Excellency, Reverend Number Chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, Your Excellency, Samuel Member Kabuya, Minister of Human Rights of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Excellencies, Ministers of State parties to the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, the Honorable Chief Fortune Chalumbera, President of the Pan-African Parliament, Honorable Wilson the Amelda Adel, Chairperson of the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, Your Excellency, Professor Miguel Cesar Domingos, Member, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Republic of Angola to the African Union and Chairperson of the Permanent Representative Committee of the African Union, Honorable Vice Chairperson, all Commissioners of African Commission on the Human and People's Rights, Honorable Lady Justice Stella Anukam, Judge of the African Court of Human and People's Rights, Mr. Mohammed Sisa Gulu, Director of Human Rights Council and Treaty Bodies Mechanism Division of the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights and United Nations, Your Excellency Java Nino Perez, European Union Ambassador, the African Union, Dr. Joseph Whittam, Chairperson of the Network of African National Human Rights Institutions, Madam Anna Foster, Executive Director of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, distinguished delegates of state parties, the African Charter of Human Rights, the senior government officials, the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary, Minister of Justice, Vice Chancellor, University, and other staff of the Ministry of Justice, the Youth Advisor, representative of the National Human Rights Institutions, representative of organs of the African Union, representative of intergovernmental organizations, representative of the non-government organization, members of the media, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have the great honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, who is unavoidably unable to attend due to other state matters. The statement reads: it is a distinct honor and pleasure for me, on behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, President Muhammad Omar, the government and the people of the Republic of the Gambia, to welcome you all to the smiling coast of Africa, the Republic of the Gambia. The historic move of the African Commission on Human Rights as the opening of the 85th Ordinary Session of this distinguished body. Your presence here today is a reaffirmation of the Africa's collective commitment to the advancement of human dignity, justice, and and freedom, ideals that inspired the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights almost 75 years ago, and that continues to animate our continental vision under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and the African Union 2063, the Africa we want. This session convenes at a time of global turbulence and regional transition, a period in which universality of human rights is being tested as never before, and when the African human rights system must demonstrate that it can translate normative commitment into tangible protection for our people. Excellencies, across the world, we are witnessing growing pressure on the international human rights order established in the aftermath of the Second World War. Conflicts in different regions continue to exert a devastating toll on civilians and global institutions. Democratic backsliding and populist politics have eroded freedom, inequality, and displacement are rising, and technology has become a new frontier of surveillance, misinformation, and exclusion. The very principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, equality, justice, and universality are being challenged by selective application, politicization, and competing national interests. Excellencies, even in regions long considered stable, justice and human rights, we are growing intolerance towards dissent, shrinking civil spaces, and legal frameworks that criminalizes protest and stifle independent voices. Humanitarian crises from Gaza to the Sahel, from Ukraine to Sudan, are reminding the world that the protection of civilians and the sanctity of life remains fragile. In this landscape, global landscape, Africa must continue to stand as a moral voice, not as a victim of global disorder, but as a continent demonstrating that human dignity, justice, and solidarity are not foreign import, but African values deeply rooted in our own tradition and our charter. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our continent has made notable progress over the past decade. The adoption of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Maputo Protocol on Rights of Women, and the establishment of the African Court on Human and People's Rights have given Africa a comprehensive legal and institutional architecture for the protection and promotion of rights. We must also recognize the role of the African Commission as the custodian of the Charter and as a voice for the voiceless. The Commission's work, including its country's mission, reporting procedures, and resolutions, continues to shed light on situations of concerns and to offer guidance to state parties. However, the reality before us remains sobering. In many African countries, conflict and constitutional change of government and internal insecurity have devised hard-won gains. Civilian populations in Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mozambique, and parts of the Sahel continue to endure immense suffering displacement. Civic space is shrinking under respective laws. Human rights defenders, journalists, and environmental activists face harassment and also reprisals. Women and children bear the brunt of the armed violence. To issue landmark judgment, compliance by state remains uneven and in some cases resisting. We must confront these realities with honesty. The gap between the commitment we make at the continental level and their implementation on the ground is also widening. This is the challenge the African Union and its human rights organs must now confront with resolve, coherent, and political will. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union has placed human rights at the center of its transformative vision. Agenda 2063, the African we want, is not only a development blueprint, it is also a human rights roadmap. It envisions an Africa that is peaceful, just, inclusive, and governed by respect for the rule of law. To realize this vision, our continental organs, the African Commission, the African Courts, and the African Committee on Rights and Welfare of Child must act in complementarity, guided by the recently adopted complementarity roadmap. This framework must not remain a document. It must become a living instrument for accountability and coherence. In this regard, we must empower the Commission to conduct fact-finding mission swiftly, enable the Court to ensure compliance with its judgment, and integrate human rights safeguards into the AU's peace and security interventions, as well as its flagship development project. The African peer review mechanism and the Agenda 2063 monitoring should incorporate human rights indicators so that progress on governance and development is measured alongside freedom, equality, and justice. In essence, Africa must close the gap between normative excellence and practical implementation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for Africa to move beyond commitment, for African Commission and Court to ensure operational independent judgment and public follow-up hearings before the AU Executive Council. I've linked the Commission's early warning mechanisms to the AU Peace and Security Council for preventive actions and when rights violations threaten stability, and seeks required human rights impact assessment for all major infrastructure, extractive, and climate adaptation projects under Agenda 2063. And so we recognize and protect the rights of climate displaced persons and environmental defenders who represent the next frontier of human rights protection. Excellencies, as the host country of the African Commission, the Republic of the Gambia remains deeply committed to the principles and objectives of the African Charter. We are proud that Banjul continues to serve as the continental home of human rights, and we reaffirm our readiness to cooperate fully with the Commission, the Court, and all AU organs in advancing the cause of justice, dignity for all Africans. Our government continues to strengthen national institutions enhance access to justice, promote reforms that aligns with our continental and international obligations. We also remain determined that the Gambia's journey for dictatorship to democracy will stand as a testimony to resilience of human rights and the power of collective commitment. In manifestation of our commitment to this very important journey, the Republic of the Gambia ratified the AU Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls in July 2025, marking the Gambia the second country to sign the convention. We are currently working on preparing cabinet paper for the ratification and domestication of the convention. Your Excellencies, in conclusion, human rights should not be limited to capitals and edifices with modern facilities. It should reach out to the very people whose rights we seek to protect. The grassroots, the citizens, the farmers, traders, women and children, and the very people who make up the fabric of society should be targeted in our discourse of human rights. Too often, they are marginalized, discriminated, and are victimized in situations of conflict and displacement. As such, we should always reflect and bear in our minds that these are the ones we owe a duty as a duty bearer of human rights. Let us therefore move from our comfort zones in our capitals and reach out to those who matter most and are in need of our service. Let this 85th ordinary session mark a renewed moment of resolve, a time when Africa moves decisively from declarations to delivery, from promises to practice, from vision to visible impact. As we deliberate over the coming days, may we be guided by the spirit of our charter, by enduring values of Ubuntu, and by the conviction that the dignity of every African man, woman, and child is the true measures